Today is Monday, April 6th, and it's currently day one of my peak week for NABBA Scotland 2026. 550 grams of carbs went in today, 500 went in yesterday, and my weight dropped by 0.6 kilograms. So we've got slightly more in today. The totals will be on screen to hopefully hold some of that fullness because my body is burning through it very, very quickly. In terms of expectations for the show, I don't have much. It's an untested show and I'm a natural first timer. It's also 8 weeks before my first planned show of the season because it was the only opportunity I had to have my family and friends at the show with me, as all my later shows are in England and I was only going to have a couple of people there. For my first planned show, I'm spot on in terms of condition, but for this I do have a lot of self-doubt. I don't necessarily feel great about my condition. I am the leanest I've ever been in my life, but I just feel I'm not as lean as I could be and I'm flattening off very, very quickly. Obviously this is the peak week, so we're going to be doing what we can to drive in fullness and hold it so we present my best ever look on stage. It will be the best I've ever looked, however I do know I can look better and I do know I will look better for my shows later on in the season. One thing I wanted to prove to myself is that I could push myself throughout the entire prep and not miss a beat. This is currently my 15th week of prepping and I have not done that at all, so I'm happy with the work I put in. I just know I can be better, and I know that this show is untested, so I could be against some huge guys with years more experience on me, but it is what it is. I'm confident that Luke will have me peaked exactly as I should be for the day, and then we can get back to digging after and present my best ever look for my first planned show, which is the UK DFBA Heart of England. Is that a grown man with a nose strip on? Yes, it is. Don't knock it until you try it. I've never slept better in my life. I've never breathed better in my life, mate. These are incredible. But it is Tuesday the 7th, and it's currently the end of the day. I've filmed absolutely nothing. This morning we woke up at 0.9 up from yesterday. So yesterday's weigh-in was 72.5 kilos off the back of 500 grams of carbs. And today's weigh-in was 73.4 kilos off the back of 550 grams of carbs. So we got the spike up we were after, pretty much the perfect amount that we were after, so we'll take that all day. So today what we did was run one more day at baseline. We'll see where we are tomorrow, and then we'll probably peak Thursday, Friday, and then into the show on Saturday is roughly the plan so far, unless I wake up very, very flat tomorrow, or I'm just all over the place. We won't have any changes and we'll have another day at baseline. So today was 2700 calories. The macros are on screen there. 25 minutes on the Stairmaster and 10,000 steps. I think I've ended the day at about 13k, just for being busy and work anyway. But I felt very, very frustrated yesterday. My confidence was definitely knocked when I saw myself post-workout. I just was nowhere near as full as I expected to see myself. But last night, when I done my posing practice, that was after 4 meals and probably around 400 to 450 grams of carbs, which meant it was 900 grams of carbs in over the previous 36 hours or so, and my confidence went through the roof then. The look was much improved. I saw veins in places I've never saw veins before. It's by far the leanest and most vascular I've ever been in my life, so I was very, very happy with that. But that fullness, I just don't think I held it for too long, which is not the end of the world right now because it was just a practice. It was just to see how we're going, but realistically I do think we're going to need a bit more and probably some extra fats in there to help sort of hold this fullness, because honestly it was there and then it was gone within half an hour, and it's just kind of how my body always works. Even when I think back to doing my photo shoot in 2024, we put in I think 600 grams of carbs 4 days in a row for the peak for that, and then I think we had one lower day before it just to shift a bit of water weight. But like my body's always been like that, which is strange because I'm not a heavily muscled person. I wish I was, but I'm 6 foot tall and I'm 73 kilos right now, and this is still 8 weeks out from the first proper show that I had planned, so I've still got probably 3 or 4 kilograms to come off, and I'm 6 foot tall, so I'm definitely not the most muscled. So the fact that I can have diet on this amount of food is incredible, but it does also mean that we need to put a lot of carbs in to sort of get the result we're wanting. But I imagine something tells me that I'm going to wake up flat tomorrow. I just have a gut feeling about it. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Obviously, you'll see the update after this. And I think we'll start loading from tomorrow. But roughly what me and Luke spoke about was we'll start with 550 grams of carbs on the Thursday, we think, seeing as we know that was enough to sort of hold at least a bit and stop us from flattening off. And then Friday we'll do potentially more, and then we'll see where we are show day morning, and sort of go from there. But very boring today, my last long day at work. Tomorrow, Thursday and Friday, I've got a bit of a quieter few days, not even deliberate on the lead up to the show, but I'm very grateful I do have it. I've got a few clients on holiday, I've got a few people who asked to reschedule, which has been a blessing, to be fair. Been a wee bit busier last week and a wee bit busier the next week. It's made this week as stress free as possible. Now my main priority is me not stressing myself out about the look. I'm definitely very self-critical. I know I'm not the most heavily muscled person, like I said, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I knew I wasn't going to be. Last year, bodybuilding's not been the forefront of my mind. As well as my training, I've also been training and competing in jiu-jitsu, which I knew would have an impact on my bodybuilding and my recovery, and my ability to progress, and of course it did, but I do love it, and I did love the last year of training, both blending bodybuilding and jiu-jitsu, so I would never have changed that, but I know it has definitely impacted the physique that I will bring to the stage, but it's not about that, it's about me bringing my best self, and it's about me being in the position that I want to have athletes in the future, and also just proving that I can do it and go that extra mile, and sort of dig harder than I've ever had to before. I think when I done the photo shoot, obviously it was my first experience ever having a dig like that, but it was almost not as hard as I think it should have been. And I think I made myself believe it was harder than it actually was. And this time around, I wanted to just dig harder than ever and really suffer through the prep. I know that's daft, and I know it's something that you shouldn't do if you don't need to do, but it was a thing for me about just sort of wanting to work harder than I ever have, both with my coaching and with my own prep, to put myself in a position I want to have athletes in the future, and also prove to myself that I can handle coaching the group of individuals I have now to like a very, very high standard throughout prepping, and I would say I've done that so far. Obviously I've got 8 weeks left, and these are going to be my hardest 8 weeks, well 8 weeks until my first planned show, potentially another after that, so it could be another 12 to 14 weeks I have in a deficit. Yes, we've done 50% of the diet of the fat loss, well more than 50% of the fat loss now, but I know the harder weeks are coming up soon, and I just want to prove to myself that I can continue to graft, and get myself in the best possible shape I can be in, and be in true stage condition for those later shows. I know I'm not there just now. The plan was never to do this show, the plan was never to be there, so it's one of those things. I'm in my own head about it, but it was never the plan in the first place, so I do have to just get on with it and know that this will not be my best look, and if I can bring a look to the stage on Saturday I'm happy with, then I'll be over the moon, and I can continue digging for the next 8 weeks to get in the best possible shape I can for the Heart of England. And like I said there, my number one goal throughout this is to continue coaching at the level I'm currently coaching. This is my first time working with over 30 clients, consistently month to month, and I would say I feel amazing doing it. I get such a buzz from it. It's definitely carrying me through prep, those long days on the gym floor, which are like 12 plus hours. I'm doing like 14 hours one day a week now, which is nuts, but I do love it, and I do feel great doing it, and it's because of the group of people that I do have, and one, they care about how I'm getting on, and they care about me prepping, and they're interested in it, and they're also interested in like keeping my morale up and having a great laugh while we're in there, but they're also so driven for their goals, and well, the results that I'm sharing from it is incredible that way, and it's something I'm so buzzing about. But aye, so I'm just rambling now at this point about prep and about how I'm feeling. But today was probably a day to sit and reflect, because it was a final day at baseline really. Tomorrow potentially at baseline, but this was the last concrete day there. So we'll see how we go tomorrow. We'll see how we go when we get up. For now, it's about 7:45 at night, so I've got a last wee 15-20 minutes of work I want to finish off. I'm going to do a bit of posing practice, and then I'm going to try and get in my bed for 8:30. Keeping weigh-ins nice and consistent this week. I'm up at 5 every single day. I'm trying to be in my bed between 8 and 9. I mean, on Sunday I went to my bed at 7:30 to try and get myself in this sleep and wake cycle as best I can. Hopefully we can keep it this way. Hopefully we can keep things nice and smooth, just to keep everything as consistent as possible up until show day. Everything in terms of food, fluid and like salt intake has been major consistent until this point. The only thing that hasn't really has been sleep and wake times and also meal times. Just it's the nature of PTing, and I love my job, so I would never change it for the world. Bye. This is the wrap up of peak week day 2. So it's Thursday the 9th today, and it is day 1 of the carb load. 558 carbs going in today. Yesterday was our rest day and our last day at baseline, and we'll have these 2 high days going into show 1. So I thought I'd save you the boring day again yesterday, seeing as I rambled for 7 minutes on Tuesday. So totals for the day are on the screen as my usual. 550 grams of carbs high day. Had a new low this morning, 71.4 kilos. 2 kilos dropped from yesterday morning, which is a sign the feed up's needed. And a prep low of 1.1 kilos, 72.5 is the lowest I have been so far, and I believe that was last Monday. So carbs are definitely needed, and if we're not up a fair bit tomorrow, we will run higher. I've just had meal 1, which was 125 oats, 30 whey, 100 berries and 15 almond butter alongside my sups. And meal 2 today, which I will show you, will be identical to that, plus 2 caramel Snacker Jacks. That is maybe going to be my pre-training meal. If not, it will be just sourdough, jam, banana later on. I need to get a haircut immediately after eating that, depending on how long it takes. I maybe again. And I'll just show you the rest of the meals throughout the day. But so those 2 first meals will be the exact same, out with the addition of 2 caramel Snacker Jacks. And alongside all my sort of big meals like that, I'm taking a digestive enzyme today, just the Trained by JP Digest Pharma Pro, just to make sure everything goes down sort of as smooth as possible and we keep the midsection as tight as we can for Saturday. But generally now I'm feeling much more positive. I was a bit disheartened on Tuesday that I wasn't as full as expected, but my physique just seemed to come to life later on in the day, the more carbs we got in, and I generally just felt better and better. Yesterday we definitely flattened off again, but I was looking much tighter and much more vascular. And then this morning, we had that big drop. Happy with the drop, happy with the low weigh in, because we are still digging for that final show in 7 weeks' time on Sunday. So it's still positive, it's still all positive, and I feel I was absolutely starving this morning, so I'm definitely in a position for getting extra food in and seeing how we go. Outside of that for today, I'll have 6 grams of salt. It'll be 1 gram per meal and 1.5 with my pre and post training meal. So I had 1 in Muttles this morning. I'll have 1 again because I do think I'll be training after my sourdough and jam later on. So I'll just have 1.5 grams of salt with that, sprinkle some on top, and I'll add the rest in my pre. Water is just staying the same as it always is. I don't actually track my water in terms of I don't know how many litres it is. I have a shaker full of electrolytes, I have a shaker full of pre. I usually have 1 Monster, 1 coffee, or 1 coffee, 1 Diet Coke, and then some sort of pump pre, so another shaker full, and then 2 full bottles a day. So it probably lands me somewhere between somewhere between 4 and 5 litres per day. I can't be bothered tracking it. It stays consistent every single day. Looks happy with that as long as we do just keep it identical, and we'll be good to go from there. Other than that, everything is staying absolutely identical. The only things that I'm not going to have that I have been having the next couple of days is less artificial sweeteners, less sort of fizzy juice. I opened the gym this morning, so I was up and out at 5 o'clock. So I had a can of 3D this morning about 6:30 when I was in, and that will be the only sort of fizzy juice I have, just again minimise the chance of any bloating and keep the midsection as tight as we can. And then tomorrow, Friday, I will remove that entirely as well. And same with Saturday, I won't have any, just so we'll actually keep ourselves as tight as possible, minimise the chance of any sort of bloating, any sort of digestive distress, especially since totals for today is just under 3,800 calories. Food volume wise, even though it's fairly low volume food, like sourdough, jam, fruit, stuff like that, still it's a lot more food than I'm used to, and it's men's physique, so the main thing is keep my abs as tight as possible. But I'm feeling good, I feel much more positive than the last couple of days, so I'll just show you different bits of my food throughout the rest of the day and probably some post-workout posing. We'll see how we're looking, and then tomorrow morning I'll get my updates over the look in terms of scale weight and everything like that. I'll also update them today post-workout, and we'll see if we run any sort of changes. I do get the feeling we're gonna just because we had that massive drop, and then hopefully Saturday morning we are looking in our best shape yet. We already are, but I'm just excited to see what it will look like, shaved and tanned. I did actually start shaving last night and it was horrific. I'll do the rest of the day. Really can't be bothered with it, to be honest with you. It's probably the biggest downside of doing this, but it's for the goal, innit? So that is how I'm looking halfway through this first high day. 3 meals in. So far I've had both oatmeals, like you saw, and I've had chicken, rice and some sourdough and jam. So usually my post-training meal, I had to sort of move it forward because it was going to be longer than I anticipated before training after my haircut. Bit annoying, but it is what it is. I'm now going home for sourdough, jam and banana, and then I've got minced rice, avocado, veg and some rice cakes to finish off the day. That will land us at a 550 carb. If you can tell by those shots, if you've saw what I looked like before, definitely fuller than I have been in those post-workout shots, but still a little bit flat. We'll see how I look right before I go to bed tonight. I'll send those shots to Luke and I'll show him how I look first thing in the morning as well with a scale weight update, and then we can sort of see how we go from there. Main thing is right now my abs are still super tight and I'm fuller, which is that's all I can really ask for, to be honest with you. I'm not too bothered about anything else. If we can just get a wee bit fuller than this and also just get us to a position where we're holding this fullness and not sort of burning through it really quickly, I think the look that we can present on Saturday will be really good, and one I'll be pretty chuffed with, and then just to beat that for the heart of England. But overall, I'm definitely happy right now, happier than I have been the last few days. It's just a case now getting that last bit of food in, getting shaved tonight and then getting tanned tomorrow. So I'll give you an update in the morning in terms of any food changes we do make and how we look at how we're looking after our pump session tomorrow. Good morning. I look homeless right now, but we'll just ignore it. It is 8 o'clock. I was meant to open the gym this morning, but some stuff happened, so I never ended up doing it. But we woke up at 72.8 kilos this morning, 1.4 up from yesterday. Shocked at that weight-in. One, because I'm very hairy and I shaved my entire body last night, and two, because I feel quite flat, and Luke agreed, we do look quite flat. We don't look like we're holding any sort of water at all, which is fantastic. I'll put a picture next to me here of how I'm looking this morning. My quads look fucking peeled, which I've never been able to tell because I've always had really hairy legs and I've never shaved them before, obviously. But we're now bald. Still weight was up, but we're just running an identical day today, 550 carb. So meal one just went in there, alongside all my usual sips, green tea, electrolytes, creatine, glutamine, and a wee digestive enzyme, because that is one of my larger meals. I'll probably just have one alongside every single meal today, just to keep them going down as smooth as possible. I don't want the sun to get right in this. But generally I feel good. I do feel good. Shaving has made a massive difference. I'm probably leaner than I thought I was. But game plan now is in about an hour and a half's time, I'll have my sourdough, jam and banana. Then I'll give that about half an hour, 45 minutes to go down. I'll go quick pump session in the gym, literally like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, getting some blood flow to my upper body and moving some food around. Then I'll do some posing, get that across the look and see how we're looking. Tan is booked for 5:45 today, so it's about an hour and 20 minutes away from here. It's in the venue for tomorrow, which is an absolute pain, but is what it is. 2.5 hours of driving, and that's pretty much it. Eat, chill, and we'll see sort of how we go up until tomorrow morning.